This past Saturday, we saw Renato Moicano absolutely destroy Benoit Saint Denis in his home country. After the fight, he pretty much made some very interesting callouts, and in today's video, we are going to be discussing them. Before we go ahead and pretty much talk about this topic, I would just like to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment under this video. It would definitely help me to get into the algorithm. But without further ado, let's go ahead and start with the discussion. So Renato Moicano is looking to have some easy fights. He thinks that Paddy Pimblett and Dan Hooker are some pretty easy fights for him. He even compared Dan Hooker to a turtle on a tree. Oh yeah, a turtle's not supposed to be on a tree. Somebody definitely puts him there, and that's obviously an analogy to Dan Hooker in the rankings. Now, in my honest opinion, I feel like Dan Hooker probably isn't going to be Renato Moicano's next opponent. The reason being is because Dan Hooker right now is in a very, very pretty spot in the rankings. He beat a very tough opponent, that being Mattel's Gamrot. And in my opinion, I don't feel like Dan Hooker is going to be looking to fight down, especially after Renato Moicano takes Benoit Saint Denis rankings. I don't think that Dan Hooker is probably going to entertain that at all. Dan Hooker is, I think, sitting right under Dustin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. In my honest opinion, I feel like those are probably going to be some of his next opponents. I feel like Dan Hooker is probably going to be fighting Justin Gaethje next. If not, he might be Dustin Poirier's final fight in the UFC. But that's just the way that I see it. Now, of course, anything could happen in the UFC, but I feel like Dan Hooker, entertaining the possibility of fighting Renato Moicano might be a mistake, because there are some big fights right in front of him, literally right in front of him. And in my opinion, I feel like he's probably going to either wait it out until those opportunities come at his door, rather than him, accepting a call out from Renato Moicano, in my opinion. But like I said, anything can happen. We've been hit with surprises before. But I just feel like it's highly unlikely, that we get Renato Moicano and of course Dan Hooker. Now, the fight that I feel like is probably most likely to end up going down for Renato Moicano is the Paddy Pimblett fight. They've been going at it, for like the past couple of years, last 2 years, really. They've been really building up this fight. Now, I don't think that it's gonna be like a main event type thing. I feel like Paddy Pimblett versus Renato Moicano is a good like co-main event in a big card. But I feel like that's probably the fight that's probably gonna go down for Renato Moicano. It's a big fight in the lightweight divisions. Both of these guys are pretty much like in the lower rankings, but they're ranked fighters nonetheless. And obviously the press conference would be very, very entertaining. Both these guys know how to talk on the mic. They know how to present themselves very, very well. I feel like they would do a great job at promoting this fight. Paddy Pimblett, he had a good performance against Bobby Green, had a good performance against Tony Ferguson. I know everybody likes to dog on Paddy Pimblett because he had that bad performance against Jared Gordon. Got the W anyways, but I feel like, based on the last couple performances that Paddy Pimblett has given us, I feel like he would be a very decent opponent against Renato Moicano. But in my opinion, based on what we saw this past Saturday, Renato Moicano beat a freaking beast of a dude. Benoit Saint Denis is like a soldier type fighter. He's just gonna come forward. He's not gonna give up unless obviously, the doctors or somebody comes in and just ends the fight altogether. But yeah, that was a great performance by Renato Moicano. And honestly, I think he could be a real contender in the top five very, very soon. I feel like the Paddy Pimblett fight, easy fight for him, in my opinion. I feel like Renato Moicano probably takes a W in that fight, if I'm just being completely honest. After that, maybe we could start entertaining, the possibilities of Renato Moicano entering the top five. Maybe he could get that rematch against Rafael Fiziev. Who knows? The sky's the limit right now for Renato Moicano. He is pretty much elevating his name in the sport. And Paddy Pimblett is most likely going to be his next matchup. That's the way that I see it. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. As always, is a pleasure. Peace out and have a good one.